My parents demanded I give half of my ain 50K lottery win to my golden sister or leave. So I vanished. I was neck deep in a complex coding review, trying to track down a persistent bug in an API endpoint for a new client, when the frantic, desperate pounding started on the door of my small apartment. It wasn't the tentative tap of a neighbor, or the official knock of a delivery driver. This was the side of a fist, a frantic rhythm that rattled the cheap wood of the doorframe. I called out, "Just a minute." But the hammering only grew more insistent, laced with panic. On my screen, my manager, Mr. Cheng, waited patiently, his profile picture looking stern on the conference call platform. He was looking at the recent project metrics I had just pulled. 850,000. The number still felt like something from a movie, even 3 weeks after I'd won the jackpot. "Anya, should we commit to this build schedule?" he asked, his voice calm and professional. "Apologies, Mr. Cheng. Someone is at my door. Can you spare me 5 minutes?" The pounding was now a siren song of urgency, and I hurried across the worn carpet, irritation prickling the back of my neck. This call had been scheduled for weeks, and the timing was a complete disaster. I yanked the door open and found my older sister, Katya, mascara streaking down her carefully applied makeup, her chest heaving like she'd sprinted up the 4 flights of stairs. "Anya," she gasped, her voice raw. "Dimitri's real estate flip. It failed. Completely collapsed. He just told me. He owes investors 400 zalozern. We're going to lose everything." Her fingers dug into my arm with surprising strength, a desperate anchor. "Katya, I'm in the middle of a meeting. I'm presenting." "You don't understand," she wailed, her voice climbing toward a hysterical pitch. "The loan sharks are threatening to sue. We could lose the house, the Range Rover, everything we built." Before I could stop her, she shoved past me, the overpowering scent of her expensive perfume flooding my cramped, organized space. "You have to help us. Dimitri owes." She froze mid-sentence. Her eyes locked onto my laptop screen, still glowing with the conference window. Mr. Cheng's face was small in the corner, but the detailed financial spreadsheet dominating the display, labeled investment portfolio allocation, was undeniable. And right beneath it, the bold, terrifying number, an 950,000. I watched the transformation on her face. The panic drained away, replaced by a cold, calculating stillness that made my blood run cold. Her eyes narrowed as they fixed on the title. "I need to go, Mr. Cheng," I said quickly, slamming the laptop shut with a decisive thwack. But it was too late. "You," Katya whispered, her voice dangerously low. "You won the lottery." My stomach instantly clenched into a tight knot. This was the moment I had feared. No one was supposed to know. Not yet. Not until every single penny was protected, allocated, and shielded by layers of legal and financial planning. "It just happened," I said, feeling cornered in the middle of my own sanctuary. 3 weeks ago, I was waiting to tell everyone until. You were going to hide this." Her voice rose sharply with each word, the tears gone, replaced by a cutting venom. "Hide this while my family is falling apart. My God, Anya. We are about to lose everything, and you're sitting on a fortune." "It's not that simple, Katya. I have plans for this money. I have debt. And I cannot believe this." She snatched her designer bag from the floor where she dropped it. "My husband is having a breakdown and you're. What? Planning your retirement? That's not fair." The door slammed so hard that the frame print of my software developer certificate rattled on the wall. I stood paralyzed, staring at the closed door, my heart hammering against my ribs. The silence of the apartment felt suddenly suffocating. My phone buzzed on the counter. Mr. Cheng, no doubt. Trying to reconnect the call. But I couldn't move. My mind flashed back to when I was 15. Begging my parents for a used laptop strong enough for coding projects. Mom and Dad's regretful but firm decision. "Too expensive, Anya. We need to save for Katya's design school portfolio." 3 months later, they paid for Katya to take a luxury design inspiration trip across Europe. "Your sister needs things easier, Anya. You're the hard worker, you can handle it." My phone rang, jolting me back to the present. Katya's name flashed on the screen. I answered, my mouth dry. "Katya, listen. Mom and Dad know everything." Her voice was distant, cold, utterly devoid of the earlier desperation. They want to see you. I was going to tell everyone. I just needed time to. Tomorrow night, 7 o'clock. She hung up. I sank onto my worn couch, the phone still clutched in my hand. 3 weeks of meticulous, careful planning, of dreaming about how this money could fundamentally change my life. The student loans gone. The cloud architect certification finally achievable. A real down payment on a place that wasn't this cramped box. All of it threatened by a 30-second glimpse of my screen. But a small, hard, predictable part of me wasn't surprised. Of course, Katya would find a way to make my extraordinary stroke of luck instantly about her crisis. Of course, my parents would instantly take her side. Some patterns, it turns out, never change, even when you're 24 and financially independent. I picked up my laptop, opened it, and dialed Mr. Cheng's direct line. His concerned face appeared. Miss Petrova? Is everything all right? No, I said, my voice steadier than I expected. But let's finish setting up my accounts anyway. Something tells me I'm going to need every protection I can get. The next morning, a text from Katya pinged at 6 a.m. I'd barely slept, replaying her dramatic exit, wondering if I should have offered a different defense. The message was terse: Mom needs to talk to you. Call her. I ignored it. I needed caffeine first, and the emotional fortitude to face the inevitable judgment. By 9 a.m., the phone rang. My mother, Irina Petrova. With a deep, grounding breath, I answered. Ania, she said, her voice sharp and brittle, not worried or curious, but instantly judgmental, as if I had been caught stealing. Mom. I was going to tell everyone about the money. I just needed. How could you treat your sister that way? Her words sliced through mine. After everything this family has done for you. My coffee cup froze halfway to my lips. What? Mom. Katya burst into my apartment during a work meeting. She saw something on my screen she wasn't supposed to see yet. Don't lie. The chill in her voice deepened. Katya told us everything. My stomach nodded. What exactly did she tell you? That you humiliated her. That you flaunted your money, while she was begging for help. The accusation hit like a physical blow. I gripped the phone tighter. That's not what happened. Tomorrow night, 7 p.m., at the Velvet Oak restaurant. Your father and I need to talk to you about how you treated Katya. You will be there. Not a request. A summons. Mom. Or 7 o'clock. Don't be late. She hung up. I stared at my phone, my hand trembling with a fury I rarely allowed myself to feel. Katya hadn't just twisted the story, she had completely inverted it. In her version, I was the villain who tormented her in her moment of desperate need. Before I could think twice, I dialed Lina's number. She was my college roommate. Now a sharp financial advisor, and the only person who'd ever seen the twisted dynamic of my family up close. They're lying about me. I told her after explaining everything. My mom just called, and according to her, I humiliated Katya. They want to meet tomorrow at that fancy place, the Velvet Oak. It's a trap, Anya. Lena's voice was firm. They're going to corner you and pressure you. I know. The strange thing was, I did know. For the first time, I saw the pattern with perfect clarity, but they're lying about me. I have to go. I have to set the record straight. Lena sighed, the sound heavy over the phone. Okay. But remember? No, is a complete sentence. You don't owe them an explanation or a single dime. The next evening, I arrived at the Velvet Oak restaurant 10 minutes early. The host led me to a secluded private dining area in the back. My heart hammered against my ribs as I pushed open the heavy mahogany door. They were already seated. My mother, father, Sergei, and Katya, arranged on one side of the large table like a hostile tribunal. Their faces were masks of righteous disapproval. No one stood to greet me. Sit down. My father, Sergei, said, gesturing stiffly to the lone chair across from them. I slid into the seat, arranging my face into a neutral, professional mask. The waiter appeared, but my father waved him away. We'll order later. I can't believe you would treat your sister this way. My father began the moment the door closed. I treated her. The words burst out before I could stop them. She stormed into my apartment while I was on a conference call. My mother's face tightened. Don't lie. Katya told us everything. Dimitri's debt is $400,000. This is life or death for them. Katya stared at the linen tablecloth, a single, theatrical tear sliding down her cheek. The perfect victim. I wasn't going to hide the money forever, I said, fighting to keep my voice steady. I just needed time to set everything up properly. My father leaned forward, his eyes hard and unwavering. We've discussed it. You will give your sister $425,000, exactly half of your winnings. She will pay off the real estate loss and stabilize her life. That is what's fair. I stared at him, speechless. Half my money, just like that. As if my jackpot wasn't mine at all, but a pooled family resource. As if I had no right to my own future, my own escape. Fair. The word tasted bitter and metallic on my tongue. It's my money, I have a plan for it. A plan. My mother scoffed, her voice laced with incredulity. What plan could possibly be more important than saving your sister's home and livelihood? I opened my mouth to explain the student loans, the cloud architect certification fees, the down payment on a modern townhouse, but stopped myself. They didn't care about my plans. They never had. Either you agree to split it. My father continued, his voice dropping to a dangerous, icy register. Or you are no longer our daughter. Don't ever come back. The ultimatum hung in the opulent air of the restaurant. It wasn't a negotiation. It wasn't even a family discussion. It was a demand backed by the threat of complete, permanent expulsion. In that moment, the naive hope I'd carried my entire life, that one day, somehow, my family would see me as an equal to Katya, died. What replaced it was a cold, stunning clarity. I stood up slowly, reaching into my purse. I took out a crisp $20 bill and placed it deliberately on the white tablecloth. For my part of the meal, I said, my voice steadier than I expected. I used to think I was just the outsider in this family. Thank you for officially confirming that tonight. Katya's head snapped up, her eyes wide with genuine shock. My mother's mouth opened, but no sound came out. My father's face darkened with pure, unadulterated rage. I turned and walked toward the door, my steps measured and slow. Behind me I heard my mother's voice. A shrill, panic-stricken sound. Anya, don't you dare walk out! But I was already gone, pushing through the heavy restaurant doors into the cool evening air. My hands were shaking, but my mind was clear and sharp. For the first time in my 24 years, I had chosen myself over their approval. It felt like freedom. It felt like profound, irreparable loss, both at once. I got into my car, gripped the steering wheel until my knuckles were white, and let out a long, ragged breath I didn't know I'd been holding. My phone started buzzing in my bag. My mother, no doubt, already launching the artillery. I silenced it without looking. The family I'd always known was officially behind me now. What lay ahead was up to me alone. My phone vibrated for the 17th time in 30 minutes. The screen lit up with the name of Uncle Pavel, someone I hadn't spoken to since my high school graduation 10 years ago. I let it ring. When it stopped, I checked the voicemail count, 16 new messages. I tapped the most recent one. Anya, it's your Uncle Pavel. This isn't like you. Your sister is in crisis. How can you be so selfish? Call your mother. Delete. The next one was from Aunt Svetlana. You're ungrateful after everything your parents sacrificed for you. Family means sacrifice. Delete. 3 more texts arrived in rapid succession. 2 from cousins I barely knew. 1 from my father, Sergey. I opened his. You're embarrassing this family. You think we'll just let this go? You'll regret this. My stomach twisted. The threat wasn't subtle. The phone slipped from my hand onto the couch. A week had passed since I walked out of that restaurant, and the harassment had only intensified. Every buzz of my phone sent a jolt of anxiety through my chest. Every accusation, ungrateful, selfish, heartless, chipped away at my resolve. My finger hovered over my banking app. Maybe I should just wire the money. Just make it stop. Let Katya have her way, like always. I dialed Lena's number instead. They won't stop, I said when she answered, my voice raw. It's everyone now. Aunts, uncles, cousins. My dad just threatened me. What exactly did he say? Lena's voice was calm, measured. I read her the text. That's not a father, Anya, she said after a pause. That's an extortionist. If you send them any money, you will be their bank forever. This isn't family, It's financial abuse. You are stronger than this. I hung up, cradling the phone, tears leaking down my cheeks. But when I looked at the screen, at my father's threat glowing in the darkness of my apartment, something inside me shifted. The fear wasn't gone, but now there was something colder underneath it, absolute clarity. I stood up, wiped my eyes with the back of my hand, and walked to my desk. I created a new, secure email address. Then I methodically blocked every number that had called or texted me in the past week, 18 in total. When I finished, the silence felt strange, fragile, but mine. I called my landlord next, Mr. Volkov. This is Anya Petrova. I need to break my lease. I'll pay whatever penalty is required. That's a 3-month fee, Miss Petrova. Are you sure? Yes? And can you tell me if there are any vacancies in your other buildings? Preferably something unlisted. A pause. We have a modern townhouse unit in our north complex. It just became available yesterday. Not listed yet. I'll take it. I hung up and looked around my apartment. 5 years of my life contained in these walls. 5 years of building my software developer career, paying down student loans, making this place feel like mine. I pulled out a suitcase and began to fold shirts, pants, sweaters. Each movement was precise, controlled. I was not running away. I was executing a strategic retreat. 4 days later, I was taping up another box when the pounding started on my door. Not knocking, pounding, like someone using the side of their fist, frantic and desperate. Anya, Anya, Katya's voice, shrill and wild. I know you're in there. Open this door right now. I froze. A framed photo of Lena and me from college still in my hand. I placed it carefully into the box, then turned toward the door. You're a coward. Katya shouted, her voice cracking. You're destroying this family. Dad had to take money from his retirement? They're going to lose their house because of you. I stood motionless in the center of my half-packed apartment. The young woman who opened the door to her sisters' crisis 3 weeks ago would have rushed to explain, to defend, to soothe. That person was gone. I taped another box shut. Anya, please. Her voice dropped to a ragged sob that seeped through the door. Please. I'm begging you. The sound tugged at something deep inside me, but I didn't move. Katya's sobs eventually faded into silence. When I finally checked the peephole, the hallway was empty. I turned back to my apartment, surveying the stacks of boxes, the bare walls, and in the quiet aftermath, I made a decision. I wasn't just moving, I was upgrading my entire life, and my career. The doorbell rang at 7, and I opened it to find Lena holding a pizza box and a roll of heavy-duty packing tape. Reinforcements have arrived, she announced, brushing past me into the apartment. She set the pizza on a stack of boxes and surveyed the room. You weren't kidding. You're really doing this. She walked to the counter where I'd stacked my mail, rifling through the pile of envelopes. She held up several with red, final notice stamps across the front. Good, she said, examining the disconnection notices for my utilities. You're scorching the earth, I'm proud of you. We sat cross-legged on the floor, eating pizza straight from the box. Lena gestured at my laptop, open to a detailed spreadsheet. What's that? My original financial plan, I replied. I'm executing it exactly as I intended. Lena leaned over to examine the screen. 65% invested. 10% for debt and cloud architect certification fees. 20% for a house down payment. 5% emergency fund. Very Anya, she noted with a wry smile. My family thinks I'm just hiding, I said, wiping my hands on a paper napkin. They don't understand. I'm building? I reached for my laptop and pulled up the application page for the Cloud Architect exam series. So, while they've been harassing me and tearing themselves apart fighting over money that isn't theirs, I've been planning my future. Lena raised her soda can to scorched earth. I clinked my can against hers. And new growth. 2 days later, I stood in my new apartment, a modern townhouse rental in a quiet, anonymous complex on the north side of the city. The space was empty except for a folding chair, my laptop, and an air mattress. The silence wrapped around me like a blanket. No pounding on the door. No threatening texts. No family voices telling me what I owed them. I opened my laptop. The Cloud Architect certification registration page glowed on the screen. The fee was substantial. nearly Fernstadter's 500 for the full series. But in my new financial reality, it was merely a strategic investment. My finger hovered over the submit payment button. For 24 years, my life had been defined by what my family needed from me. The stable one, the strong one, the backup plan. I click submit. The confirmation page appears. My phone is silent. My new apartment felt like a fortress. The war was over for me. I was focusing on my own life. Anya Petrova, cloud architect. Not sister, not daughter, not savior. Just Anya. 1 year passed without a single text or call from my family. The silence stretched between us like an ocean. Vast, deep, and impossible to cross without intention. But unlike before, when silence meant waiting for their approval, this quiet felt deliberate and purposeful. A space carved out by my own will. I spread textbooks across the library table, highlighter poised over a particularly complex section on container orchestration. Around me, other hopeful tech professionals craned over similar texts, their faces pinched with concentration. My yellow marker glided across the page, illuminating key concepts I'd need to remember. The exam loomed just 2 weeks away. My phone buzzed. Lena, how's the studying marathon going? Still alive? I typed back, barely. Distributed systems are trying to kill me. She responded with a laughing emoji and, "You've got this, drinks after you ace that test." The text made me smile. Lena had been my rock this past year. When my family's attempts to contact me finally fizzled out, she was there with takeout and bad movies. The day of the certification exam series arrived with spring rain tapping against my windshield. The testing center was a sterile room with rows of computers. I settled into my assigned seat, took a deep breath, and began. Hours later, I walked out, my brain feeling like overcooked pasta. But something in my chest felt solid, anchored. I had done this completely on my own. No family drama, no distractions, just me and my determination. 6 weeks later, the email appeared in my inbox, with a simple subject line: certification results. My fingers shook as I clicked it open. Congratulations, Anya Petrova. You have successfully passed all components of the Cloud Architect certification. I stared at the screen, pressing my hand against my mouth to hold back a sound that was half laugh, half sob. Then my work email pinned with a new message. Anya, congratulations on achieving your professional certification. This, combined with your consistent performance, warrants recognition. Please see me this afternoon to discuss your promotion to tech lead, effective next month. Regards, Mr. Cheng. The email was brief, almost clinical. But it was the validation I'd been working toward for years. I pressed my palms against my eyes, breathing deeply. 3 months later, I was standing in a small yard, my yard, watching a realtor pull a Sold D sticker across the for sale sign. The house wasn't huge, a modest 2-bedroom bungalow with a simple deck. But it was mine. Every cracked tile and slightly peeling paint belonged to me. Congratulations, Ms. Petrova, the realtor said, handing me a set of keys that gleamed in the late summer sunlight. You're officially a homeowner. I ran my thumb over the jagged metal edges of my new house key. I'd put $170,000 down, securing a 15-year mortgage that my new tech lead salary could comfortably handle. Exactly as I'd planned when I first saw that lottery check. That evening, I planted white hydrangeas and crimson roses along the front walk. The soil felt cool between my fingers as I carefully positioned each seedling. When I finished, I sat on my porch steps, a glass of wine beside me, and watched the sunset paint my little house in shades of gold. My phone rarely rings these days. No drama, no urgent crisis requiring my attention or money. Just the occasional call from Lena, my boss, or a client. The peace felt earned. What I didn't know, what I couldn't know, is that across town, my parents were signing documents of their own. Sergey and Irina Petrova sat at their mahogany dining room table. The one where we had holiday dinners for decades, papers spread before them, waiting for signatures. A man in a suit explained terms, home equity line of credit, and fixed interest rate, and disbursement schedule. $250,000 is a significant portion of your home equity, he cautioned. Are you certain this is necessary? My father nodded solemnly. Our daughter needs us. Her husband's business failed, and they have nowhere else to turn. My mother's hand trembled slightly as she signed her name. beside my father's. They believed they were rescuing Katya, salvaging Dimitri's reputation, preserving the family's good name. What they didn't know, what they wouldn't learn until it was too late, was that Dimitri's real estate flip never failed. It was a pure fabrication. 2 weeks later, Dimitri cashed the check from my parents, his hands shaking with relief. He didn't use it to pay any investors. Instead, he made a phone call. "I've got the money," he told someone on the other end. "All of it? We're square now, right?" The voice that answered was cold, professional. "This covers the principal. There's still the matter of our interest rate." "What? No. You said 400,000 would clear it. That was before you missed 3 payments. Dimitri. You still owe us another 100,000. Dimitri's face drained of color. "I don't have anything else. My in-laws mortgaged their house for this." A laugh crackled through the phone. "Not our problem, friend. You've got 30 days. The following month." My father opened his front door to find 2 men standing on his doorstep. They didn't look like businessmen. One had a tattoo creeping up his neck. The other had a scar bisecting his eyebrow. "Mr. Petrova?" the taller one asked, his voice deceptively pleasant. "We're associates of Dimitri's. May we come in?" They stepped inside without waiting for an answer. "There seems to be some confusion," the man with the scar said, examining a family photo on the wall. He picked it up, studied it. "Dimitri told you he needed money for his business, correct?" My father nodded slowly, confusion etching lines around his eyes. "That's funny," the tattooed man said, not laughing. "Because Dimitri doesn't have a business. Dimitri has a gambling problem, and he owes our employer. Dimitri has a gambling problem, and he owes our employer another 150,000, the scarred man finished. The family photo fell from my mother's hand. Irina, still reeling from the news, didn't realize she was a beat too slow to catch it. The glass shattered on the wooden floor. "That's not possible," she whispered. "We gave him everything to pay off his business debt." "Not business," the taller man corrected. "Blackjack, mostly, some sports betting. He's been a good customer for years." My father, Sergey, sat heavily in his armchair, his face gray. Across town, Katya was tearing through Dimitri's home office, pulling open drawers. She found them hidden behind the hot water heater. Bank statements showing massive withdrawals at casino ATMs, credit card bills for cash advances, and loan applications with forged signatures. Her signature. Later that night, as I was watering the crimson roses in my yard, Katya sat at her kitchen table. Divorce papers spread before her. Her hands were steady as she signed each flagged section. Her children slept upstairs, unaware that their world had irrevocably changed. The next morning, Dimitri returned home to find the locks changed and a manila envelope taped to the front door. I've almost forgotten what it's like to wake up without dread. My morning routine now feels like mine alone. Coffee brewing in a kitchen, with pale gray walls, I chose myself, sunlight filtering through windows no one else's hands have touched. My cloud architect certification hangs framed beside my degree. The silence in my house belongs to me. The notification chimes as I'm reviewing quarterly projections. A new email. From Irina Petrova. I haven't seen that address in 14 months. My finger hovers over delete. But something, that sliver of human curiosity, makes me tap it open. The message is short: "Your father and I took out a halo of FI to pay Dimitri's debts. Believing we were saving his business, it wasn't enough. Loan sharks came to our house. We found out the truth, Anya. It wasn't a business loss, it was gambling. We've lost all our savings. Katya has filed for divorce from Dimitri. We are not asking for money. We just want to talk." I stare at the words until they blur. Loan sharks. Gambling. My parents sacrificed their retirement for the illusion of their favored child's success. The revelation cuts through me like winter wind. I stand up, push back from my desk, and pace across the hardwood floors. This decision is mine alone. I click reply. My fingers hesitate over the keyboard before typing 6 words: Cafe Solaris. Tomorrow. 2030. The power felt strange, uncomfortable but right. Like a heavy coat that hasn't been broken in yet. The woman in the mirror the next morning looks composed. A tech lead in a tailored suit. She looks nothing like the software developer who trembled in a restaurant booth 14 months ago.